Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to see different types of lubrication systems. Once again, we'll revise the purpose of engine lubrication. They are reducing friction between relative motions, parts having relative motion in between them, preventing wear of moving engine parts, sealing the combustion gases, maintaining engine cleanliness, cooling the engine parts, and permitting easy start and extending the engine life. Okay, now we are going to see some different types of engine lubrication systems that are being currently used. This is an example of an engine lubrication system. Now you can see that right at the base, at the bottom, an oil sump is present. In that oil sump, a floating oil intake and screen is present. This regulates the level of oil. Then you have the oil pump. It will circulate the oil. Oil will flow through the oil filter, removing any particulate impurities, and then it will be supplied to the crankshaft, crankshaft bearings, combustion chamber, and the valve mechanisms. Okay, this is an example of a full pressure lubrication system. In this system, the oil sump will serve as the reservoir of oil, and from here, oil under pressure will be supplied to various engine parts for providing the required lubrication. The oil over here will be pumped by means of a gear pump through a filter in order to remove the impurities. Okay, then oil under pressure will be supplied to different parts, namely bearings of the crankshaft and crankshaft by the means of holes which are drilled through the main crankshaft bearing journals which serve the purpose of communicating oil to different parts of the bearing, that is the big end bearing and the small end bearing, through the holes which are drilled in the connecting rod for the sole purpose of providing passage for the movement of the lubricating oil. Then again, a pressure gauge or an oil gauge is mounted which will indicate or confirm that the oil has been circulated to the different parts of the engine. Okay, this system, the full pressure lubrication system, will find application in most of the engine manufacturers. This has a reason behind it, and the chief reason is it will allow a high bearing pressure and rubbing speeds to be achieved because the oil will be supplied at high pressure by means of a pump through a filter. The reason filter is provided over here is that you can see that after serving the purpose of lubrication and cooling, this oil will come back to the sump. Okay, now when it comes back from the engine parts, it might bring with it some particulate matter or dust or other impurities. These need not be circulated back to the bearings, hence a filter is required in this case. Again, this is another view of a full pressure lubrication system. You can see that the pressure developed is 200 to 400 kilopascals over here, and you can see the example of a gear type oil pump. Okay, and again we can very well see over here how the oil is supplied to different parts, the valve mechanism, the combustion chamber, the crankshaft bearings, and so on. Now we have two more types of lubrication system to study over here. One is the splash lubrication system. Okay, now what will happen in a splash lubrication system? Let us see. As you can see that a scoop is mounted on the crankshaft. As the crankshaft rotates because the reciprocatory motion of the piston, this scoop will scoop up the oil from the crankcase or the oil sump and splash it to the underside of the piston and also to the crankshaft. Okay, in this case, the caps on the bearings of the connecting rod are provided with scoops, okay, as is visible in the figure. Okay, this helps in the direction of oil to pass through the holes in the caps and the bearings. Fine. Then due to this flashing of the oil, it will reach the lowest portion of the cylinder walls, crankshaft and other parts, and whatever oil is being present as surplus, it will flow back to the oil sump. Okay, so this is a very simple form of lubrication system. Then you have the dry sump lubrication system, in which the oil from the sump will be carried to separate storage tanks which are present outside the engine cylinder block by means of pump through filters. Okay, then from these storage tanks, the oil is pumped through the engine cylinder to the engine cylinder through the oil cooler. Okay, so you can see over here different oil pumps are, two oil pumps are present, and one centralized oil tank is present. Each individual oil pump will draw the oil and supply it to different parts of the engine for the purpose of lubrication. So this is an example of a dry sump lubrication system. Okay, thank you very much.